Hello everyone, it's Linda Hayes here again, coming to you from sunny Belize in San Pedro. And this is my first video with some questions on moving to Belize because I've been getting a lot of those as well. So I wanted to just show an excerpt from an email that I received recently. So the guy basically started with saying he found the video discussing long-term rentals was great, but we're struggling to find definitive answers to other little details. And there was a whole bunch of questions he asked. And then a little summary, he said that he's found the videos on point, others he's looked at seem vague on a lot of issues. And that's what I found as well here, is that, a lot of people will put out a little bit of content, but not really a lot of meat to help you with what you want to do. So I had to figure out a lot of it on my own or through friends. And that's why I'm doing these videos is, first of all, when you're talking, say, to a realtor that's helping you, they don't maybe have the time to do the research, and they're also not getting paid to do it. So they do have, a lot of the people I know are definitely willing to share information. It's just based on how much time they have to do so. So I'm going to share the information over time because a lot of the information that's asked for requires me to look into it and summarize it. And in addition to that, I don't want the videos to end up being, an hour long because then nobody wants to look at them. So if you do have a whole bunch of questions you want answered more quickly than waiting for all the different videos to come up, which of course you can subscribe to see new content, you can also book individual consulting time with me. And I've had a few people do that as well because some of your questions may be specific to your situation, and then that might be a better way to go. Otherwise, you can just watch, and then that way you'll know what's going on. And in this particular video, what I want to do is go into some of the financial questions that were asked by the individual that I just talked about. So in particular, should you be, or how would you, or could you open a local bank account here? How do you bring money into Belize? And how do you pay bills? So that's what the basic content of what I'm going to do in this particular one. So the first thing that I'm going to cover is about opening a bank account. So I asked a realtor here advice on opening a local bank account and basically was told I couldn't because I'm not a permanent resident or a QRP. And I did want a local account for two different reasons. First of all, I wanted to be able to pay bills online. So I've showed a little excerpt here of one of my water bills that came through email saying that BWS, which is Belize Water Services, has several options to pay your bill. So at any of the 10 offices countrywide or any collection agencies, and online or over the counter at the following banks. Okay, great. Atlantic Bank, Belize, Heritage, National, Scotia, etc. And so, okay, great. I need a local bank to pay this, or I have to go somewhere is what this bill tells me. And obviously, I'm here so I could do this, but I work during the day. It makes it hard to do. And you could pay people to go pay bills for you, but that is not really what I want to do, and you can do it online through a bank. So that was the really large reason that I wanted to open a local bank account. I have 2 tiny homes, which means 2 water bills, 2 electricity bills because they're separate meters. I have internet at the property. Plus, I have a condo I'm renting now, and I have bills on that as well because my other tiny homes are, going to be rented to other people. So also the other thing I found out when I was researching local banks is that the rates are much higher than in Canada or the US on your savings accounts. So basically the savings account doesn't have a huge amount that you have to put in. It's $50 minimum, but you have, of course, the critical thing, easy access to e-banking, which is what I wanted. But they also, right now, this is just the other day, I researched this, 2.5% interest paid every quarter. So 2.5% interest on savings is a great rate. I'm not saying it's as good as investing your money. However, if you have money set aside for example, for me, furnishing my houses, I had money, or to pay the builder the payments over time, I had money in savings. If I could have had it in Belize getting 2.5%, certainly would have been better than having it in my bank account that I have in Canada, or I do have one in the US in US dollars as well. And certainly I don't earn anything near that on any savings accounts I have. So from my research on different Facebook groups that I'm a part of, I did know it was possible to open a local bank account. So I started my own research since I didn't get really a straight answer from anyone. And what I did first is talk to a lot of the local people I know, and they did say that they really like Atlantic Bank over Belize Bank. And the thing that they mentioned most often was that the fees at Belize Bank were quite high. So I did start with Atlantic Bank in terms of doing some discussion, but every time I talked to them, I got different answers, and a lot of things they asked for were really tough. So I looked back onto Facebook, found that a lot of people were recommending Heritage Bank. So I decided to go in there, and I actually found them to be really good because they didn't have long lineups outside like Atlantic Bank did. So I was able to go in and talk to someone very easily. And I did that in February 2021. It's now November. And what happened with them is they did say that it would actually be a lot easier than it was, which of course is how everything seems to go here. So what they did recommend for me to start with is opening a corporation up for my rentals, because that would make the bank account process easier. So that's what I actually did, is I opened up a corporation. It made sense from other reasons as well, so that's what I did. That took about 3 months to open, and once that was all done, of course, went back into the bank, and basically it's still going on. There's nothing finalized yet. I often get emails from my person at the bank saying, hey, we have one more paper for you to fill out, or now we need updated pay stubs and updated this and updated that, because they're taking so long to do things. And so anyway, at the end of the day, I've probably, had to deal with them like at least 10 different times on different paperwork that they keep asking for. So the last thing just last week was, oh, we need every page of your passport you sent in the first page. It's like, why didn't they send that to me weeks ago? Don't know. So just got that all done, and hopefully the bank account will be open soon, but stay tuned for that. So of course, because I don't have a bank account, I was paying bills manually for the most part. So, going into Digicel to pay my cell phone bill and all the other bills as well. But I've actually recently learned something that has helped with this that I'm going to get into next. So when I first came to Belize, I wasn't actually paying very many bills on my own, because I was renting at the yacht club, as I mentioned in other videos, and they actually paid all the utilities, and I just paid them for it along with my rent. So I didn't have a whole bunch of things to do other than my cell phone bill, which I was going in to pay at Digicel. So, and then finally, recently, because my bank account, I hope, is close to getting set up, I mentioned it to one of the people I was paying a bill with in person, and I said, I'm really excited for my bank account to be open so I don't have to keep coming in to pay bills. And it actually showed me something I didn't know about. Atlantic Bank actually has a third-party payment service, and you can see that. I've put the website for Atlantic Bank here. You don't need a bank account to do this with them, and I wish we had more of this in Edmonton, because where I have my properties there, I can't even pay some of my utility bills with my credit card, and here I can actually do it. I just didn't know about it until very recently. So if you look at the website here, Atlantic Bank, that I've brought up a screenshot of, I'm going to do a demo in a minute of it, you can see there's this bill pay with any Visa or MasterCard. So I'm going to show what bills you can pay with this in a second here, but God, this is really, really good, especially because it'll save me a lot of time having to go into places and pay bills. One other thing I want to mention before I get into the demo, though, is if you have your property where it's in a rental management pool, oftentimes they will be paying the utilities and then just bill you for it, so you won't have this issue. On my side, however, I'm not using anyone right now to manage my property, and plus I also have my cell phone bill and any of my personal expenses I want to pay. I can still do it this way. So now I just want to show what it looks like when you go into Atlantic Bank, where you can do the bill payments much easier. So here's the address for atlanticbank.com, the one that you're going to go into to pay some bills. And if you look here, there's the regular personal log-on, corporate, and then this lovely little button here called Bill Pay with any Visa. And when I hover over it, it shows the list of the bills. So the ones I use in here in particular are Belize Electricity. I also use Belize Water Service, and then the other two are Coral Cable Vision. That's where I have my cable in the condo that I'm renting right now, and internet through Coral. And then in Mahogany Bay, I can't get cable there, so I'm using Smart Internet, which is a different service, so that I can pay there as well. So there's a few other ones in here depending what you're paying. Very useful though, so that this basically means you can pay your bills without having to go into the vendor, which is great. And also you can get credit card points, which I personally love, because that's one of my biggest things I do to travel for free, which I have in some of my other videos. So hope that helps you as well. So another thing that I was asked about was in terms of how you move money to Belize. So one option to do that is you can wire money from your account in the US or Canada, but there are some people that I've talked to that have had challenges because they work with a small bank in the US and they say they're not able to do those wires. So that could be a problem depending where you're from, and maybe the same in Canada. The one thing that I did, it was one of those things I didn't think I needed to do, but I did it anyway, is I brought my US checks with me. I do have RBC banking in Canada, and then I have cross-border banking with RBC in the US. So that's great because I have both banking in Canada and the US. So I did have US checks I could bring, and I thought, well, maybe the builder will accept checks. They hadn't confirmed that before I left, but I brought them anyway, and it turned out to be a great thing for two reasons. First of all, my builder did take checks, so that was one great thing that saved me doing wires and the fees associated with those, although initially I was able to do wires from RBC Bank in the US. The other really good thing about having US checks with me, in fact, it means that I've actually had to order more US checks. I've written more checks here than I have in the last 10 years, I think, is because you can actually cash US checks at many stores here. So talk to me about that if you're coming, because I can give you some recommendations of where to go to do that. But basically, if I want some cash, rather than going to an ATM and paying fees, and I think I tried it one time and my Canadian card didn't even work anyway, I just go to some specific vendors, I give them a US dollar check, and they give me Belize dollars. So that's a great deal, and the exchange rate's very simple, it's 2 to 1. If you go to the bank to do that, of course, they're going to charge you a fee. Another thing that a lot of vendors may use is PayPal and some other of those payment processors. So if you have that set up, that would be a good idea too, just in case who you're working with uses that also. So in conclusion, I'm always happy to help, as I had to figure out a lot on my own. Luckily, I've made a lot of friends here that made it a little easier, but it took some time to gather everything I needed. And I do try to put a lot of resources on my website so that you can find them easily. My videos are summarized there, as well as newsletters and other information like travel savings. And if you want to see more questions answered, make sure you subscribe, and hope to see you down in Belize.